Well, I'm so appreciative that you're all out here. Again, my name's Stanley, and I do have downsized my home, which kind of is self-explanatory. But I help people make good decisions about their belongings, about what to keep and what to let go of. And it's a process. And so in that process, I found the best way to do it is when somebody's hesitating, they go, tell me the story about that. Let's go through that and talk about that. And often that helps them let go and move forward with their lives. And a fascinating journey of doing that and helping people through the whole process. So through that, I have learned a thing or two about developing a good story. I have used it in my own business, and I'm learning every day, and I'm coming up with ideas every day to, I need to tell that story. So hopefully you'll walk away here today with a framework that I'm going to share with you of how to tell your own story in a really compelling way. And I hope you'll feel free to share that with those of us in this room today, because I know each one of you have a compelling story to tell. And that's what's so exciting about it, is being able to practice it and share it. So we all love a good story, right? I mean, who doesn't love a good story? When you were little and your parents were reading you bedtime stories, especially fairy tales, and it all started out with, once upon a time. I don't know about you, but my ears would perk up, because I'm like, once upon a time what? You know, and you wanted to know the rest of the story. When you think about movies, what captivates you? They have to catch you right at the beginning, right? And the one that stands out in my mind, one of my all-time favorites, and the favorite of many people, is the genius George Lucas. And when he started out the very first Star Wars with a black universe of stars, and then a very simple scroll like this up the screen telling the story. And I don't know if you were like me, but I was like doing this, trying to help it go up faster, you know, because I want to know what's going on. So it captivated us. So that's what a good story will do. You may not think that you have much of a story, but in the way you tell it, it's going to be really, really dynamic, and it will help you propel your business forward. So let's take a look at this. I want to talk about 3 reasons why stories are so effective. And this is a good thing to keep in mind as you're developing your story, which I hope we can start working on today. The first thing is that they capture our attention, just like I was saying, right? When you start telling a good story, they start out and you're like, ooh, I want to know more. So you want to tell your story in a way that captures people's attention. Secondly, it stimulates our senses, our emotions. So I have a lemon here, and I have a knife, and I'm slowly cutting into that, and I'm watching the juice trickle down. And I've cut it in quarters, and I'm picking up one of those quarters, and I'm getting ready to put it in my mouth and bite down on it. How many of you...
Man, I just got sour here.
Yeah, how many of you like you started salivating, or you're checking on words, okay? So, the power of words, right? There's not a lemon within 10 feet of here, so. Anyway, words are really powerful, and how you use them are so powerful. Our senses, our emotions. And then they can inspire us to take action. If you hear or read of a story of an injustice or an unmet need, you know, they're all over Facebook, and of course in our news talks about them. It may be told in such a way that you're like, you resonate with that. You're like, I gotta do something about this. And for many of you, your businesses evolve out of that kind of a need, and you're compelled to do something about it, right? Well, isn't that what we want our clients and our customers to do? We want them to be inspired to take action. That's what telling your story in the right way can do. Okay? So these are the 3 things: capturing our attention, stimulating our senses and our emotions, and inspiring us to take action. So keep that in mind as you're developing the framework and thinking about the words you want to use to describe your story and your journey. So we're going to talk about the framework, and I'm going to show you a couple of examples of this framework, and I'm going to let you kind of work on the framework yourself as we have time today. So, and I talk fast, so it's quite possible that we'll get done early. So 5 elements to this framework. The first one is a compelling theme. This is the reason why you're doing what you're doing. It's your goal. It's your vision. Okay? So, for example, in one of my other favorite movies, A Field of Dreams, Ray Kinselis literally had a dream, right? He had people speaking to him. So he had a compelling goal. Have all of you seen Field of Dreams?
Yes.
Oh, I heard a no. You not?
I've seen it, yeah.
Oh, okay. I heard a no there. So, in Field of Dreams, you know, he's off on a journey. He doesn't even know why, but he's compelled to do it. So his purpose, and it's really his ultimate purpose underneath it all, is to resolve his relationship with his father, right, who was dead. Yeah. So that's really the overall purpose of it. So the second thing, so you want to get clear about what your purpose is. Right? You all probably know that. You probably either have done a marketing plan or you've sat down and talked to people about it. Is there anybody in here that is going to start a business but hasn't yet? Okay, Carl. But most people have started business. But this can relate to you because you're an experienced person with lots of business experience, and so you'll see this pattern and it'll come very quickly for you. So that's something to be clear about. And then there's the problem, the ongoing frustration, the thing that you were stepping up and going, I can't take this anymore. I have to do something about this. And you feel called to do it. Either you feel like, the big man tapped you on the shoulder, or somebody else said, you're perfect for this. Why don't you do this? So that is the problem. So that you want to state that. That's the issue that needs to be solved, and only you can solve it. Right? You are well equipped. And then you decide to take action, right? And so you step into this story and you are taking action. You're making things happen. You got your business license, you got your business cards, you got your logo design, and you're going to network meetings, and you are promoting yourself, and you're taking action. You're promoting your service, you're building your product, and then what happens? You encounter loud noises, and then you encounter obstacles. Sometimes what seems like insurmountable obstacles. And is anybody relate to this?
Oh, yes.
Yes. Obstacles? Yes. Yeah. Some of them are small, but many of them feel really big, right? And this is the journey of the hero in the story, the main character in the story. And at this point in time, you are the main character in this story. So you're encountering obstacles. And you've got to overcome these to achieve this goal. Ray Kinselis, in A Field of Dreams, had obstacles. He had a brother-in-law who was kind of, is that me? Oh, it is. I'm so sorry. I think you just sent me something. No, it wasn't you. It was somebody else. It's just my email talking to me. I apologize. But Ray Kinselis had an obstacle that he had to overcome. He had a jerk for a brother-in-law who was threatening to foreclose on his farm. He had no money. And he had to go on a journey that he didn't even know why, and was supposed to convince a guy named Lawrence, that was his idol when he was a hippie in college, to join him on this journey. I'm trying to stop that.
Yeah, just mute it.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
All right. Guess it doesn't mute me, it just mutes my computer.
Yes.
to join him on this journey, which was a big obstacle because the guy wanted to take a bat to his head. So he had all these obstacles he had to try to overcome, had to find Shoeless Joe, and what the heck, you know, who was that? So lots of obstacles, but he kept going through them. Got to go through them because you've got this driven purpose, right? So that's part of that story, is talking about the struggle and the journey, not in a way that makes you stop, but in a way that validates you and says, wow, okay, I'm right on course in my story, right? Even those of you that haven't started a business yet, or you're thinking about starting a new business, you still go through this same 5-step framework even to just get ready to start a business, right? You see the problem, you're committed to it, you have a struggle of just trying to get off the ground before you can ever start. And then the fourth thing that happens, and sometimes it happens after a long and arduous journey, is you have a breakthrough. And you can have more than one of these. There's not maybe just one. And again, going back to the story of the Field of Dreams, I can see two different points where Ray Kinsella had a breakthrough. The first one was when he convinced Lawrence to put the bat down, and the guy actually found his car and got in it and started joining him on his odyssey, on his journey. So he had a partner, and he felt encouraged, and he felt like, okay, I'm supposed to do this. And the second one was when his brother.
Sorry, that didn't work.
Oh my goodness. Oh. Help me, Jeff. When his jerk brother-in-law finally saw all of the ball players in the field and got it, he got the purpose. He got why Ray was so adamant about not selling the farm. That was a big breakthrough for him. And finally, the successful outcome, the happy ending, the goal achieved, and the problem solved. So finally, he built it and they came, right? In droves, apparently. And I grew up in Iowa, so love that. Anybody who goes to the cornfields to go to a ball field in Iowa, they've got to be pretty crazy. Pretty cool. So 5 themes: compelling theme, a problem, a journey or struggle that you have to go through, that moment when you finally have a breakthrough, and I encourage you to look for those moments, because sometimes you'll be so sucked down in the muck of the problem and trying to deal with the day-to-day that you don't see them. So look for those, and then a successful outcome, okay? So I'll give you an example of a company that we all know and have probably all enjoyed their product, and that is the Hershey Chocolate Company. Anybody here not ever had a chocolate bar from Hershey's? Okay, good. Some people could be allergic, but Milton Hershey has a really interesting story. So he was a very poor young man growing up. His family was poor. His dad was a dreamer and a reader, but not a doer. So he didn't provide a very good living for his family. So his mother had to work really hard, and she was really resentful. There was a lot of conflict in the family, and the dad finally left. So here's mom trying to raise several kids. And back in that day, which is the late 1800s, boys were apprenticed to different industries in order to teach them a living skill. So he was apprenticed to a printer, and he hated it. And he was clumsy, and he kept dropping things. When he finally dropped his hat into the printer, they fired him. So his mom, in an effort to try to find him something to do, apprenticed him to a candy maker. This was in Pennsylvania. And that seemed to suit him better, so he learned the candy making business. And he went to different areas to learn this. I think he went to Chicago, and then he ended up out in Denver, and he worked for this chocolatier out in Denver. And the chocolatier told him, in order to make good milk chocolate, now this is really complicated, you need good milk. But back in that time, chocolate wasn't readily available like it is now. It was only for the rich because they made it in just handmade it, small batches, and it wasn't available to the common man. And Milton didn't like that. He thought that it should be available for everybody. And he really, in the back of his mind, wanted to find a way to do it. But I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. Milton Hershey's compelling theme was his determination to overcome his poor childhood and the shame he felt with his father by becoming a good provider and becoming a successful businessman. Okay? And the problem he saw, like we were talking about, is that chocolate was a luxury only available to the few. This is a bad matchup right here. We need to separate these. Been out it already. Anyway, so that was his problem. He couldn't solve it right away. His first thing was to really try to become a successful businessman. But the obstacles he encountered along the way were many, at least 3 big ones. He started 3 candy companies and failed miserably at each of them. So he came back from Denver with his tail tucked between his legs, feeling terrible, and his family shunned him because, you know, he brought more shame on the family. So his mother wouldn't talk to him, his brothers wouldn't talk to him. He didn't even have enough money to get his belongings that were shipped on the train out of the train station. So it was only through the kindness of a family friend and his Aunt Hattie that they got him enough money to get his belongings and to give him a little bit of a start on another candy company. So his 4th candy company, which was the Lancaster Caramel Company, was like an instant success. We all hear about this whole thing, oh, they were an overnight success. Look at all that crap he had to go through to get there, right? And he was so excited, he almost immediately after he opened got an order for like, you know, thousands of boxes of caramels from a company. And he was off to the races. And years later, he sold that company. Now this was in the early way early, like around 1900, for $1 million. I can't even imagine what that is today. 30 million, something like that. He could have retired a very rich man, but he'll still have this burning drive to make chocolate available for the masses. So he didn't stop. He started the Hershey Chocolate Company, started making Hershey bars, Hershey cocoa, and he found a way to mass produce milk chocolate so that the average person could enjoy it. And today he's a household name. So you can see his compelling theme and the struggles he went through and the breakthrough that he had. I'm not sure I would have made it to the 4th level. I think I might have stopped. Can you help me? Just ignore it. Pretend like it's not happening. We're all
See,
good.
first she's dissing you, and you're dissing you now, you can help her.
I have it on mute. All right, so I'm going to tell you how my own story plays out in this 5-step framework. So the compelling theme, my compelling theme was a desire to find a way to help people who were stuck with their stuff. So back in 2007, 2008, when I was a rookie realtor, I repped for an upscale condo development. People would come in, empty nesters, you know, retirees, and they loved the place. But when I'd say, well, how can we help you do this? You know, the faces would fall and they would just walk away because they said, we don't know. We have these huge houses full of stuff. We don't know where to start. We're overwhelmed. And in staying in touch with them over the weeks and the months, I heard the same story. They didn't do anything. They were stuck with their stuff. It was very frustrating as a realtor because I wanted to sell houses and I couldn't get it to move. So I kept thinking, well, what can I do? So I went on the web at the time and looked for some hands-on tools. These were people who could do it, or they could do it with some help and some coaching and guidance, but there was nothing out there. So in the meantime, I encountered my own personal crisis that really brought the whole thing home. So my mother, who was very healthy, health nut, not on any medication, suddenly found out that she had terminal brain cancer. So she went from very healthy to boom. So we moved her into our home and took care of her until she passed away. It was a world-shaking time for him. But afterwards, she lived in northern Iowa, I lived in Missouri. We had to liquidate her assets, and I was an only child. And so we went up there week after week after week trying to figure out what to do with her home and all her things. Very elegant lady, lots of beautiful things. So I, in my overwhelm and grief, I would pick up a beautiful vase or a crystal goblet or something, and I was frozen. And I thought, I don't know how to make these decisions. I don't know, does she want me to keep it or not keep it? I don't have any brothers or sisters to give it to. What do I do? And it was a long, arduous, exhausting process. When it was done, I came home and I said, nobody should have to go through that. So I couldn't find anything, so I created it. So my breakthrough moment was I created a downsizing toolkit, which you see up in the corner. I wrote a step-by-step guide to help people step-by-step break down this process to making a downsize move or decluttering their home easier, less stressful, and smoother. And then I could sell their house. So I knew that this had huge potential, but I didn't know what to do with it at the time. So I used it in my own real estate business and really focused on helping seniors and their families. It worked out very well. Was very successful with it. And 3 years ago, I decided that this is my passion. So I quit a successful real estate career and I'm full-time downsizing specialist, move manager, and I help people locally and all over the country to be able to process things, to be able to let go and recreate a living space that's simpler, easier, better for them. So, why? Why is your story so important? You know, it's your story, big deal. There's several reasons why. The first one is that it's going to give you clarity. As you write this story, you're going to get really clear about your company's mission. Even though you probably have a mission statement, it's going to become very clear. You're going to be able to fine-tune that. It's also going to help you even more finely niche who your ideal client is. Because as you're sharing your story, it's going to resonate with the right people. And the right people are going to say, wow, they're talking to me. And they're going to leap over things to find you and to want to use you over your competition. And it also gives you clarity about yourself. So you can understand through your story what your sweet spot is in your business. You can't do everything well, but there is something that you do better that anybody else does. That is the cornerstone of your story and why you got into this, right? It's also going to give you perseverance. It's going to help remind you of that drive that got you into this business. And it's going to help you keep going when everybody or everything around you, to you anyway, is telling you to stop. Has anybody ever felt that way? Poster child. She was the poster child for perseverance. You guys need to talk to this lady, Laura, afterwards. It's an amazing story. So, yeah, and you're going to need that. You're going to need that perseverance. And finally, it's going to give you confidence. Because when you know your story inside and out, and you've got clarity about it, you've sold yourself, right? And how can we sell anybody else if we're not sold ourselves? But if you've got a story that you so believe in, and it has a little bit of drama in it, and it's bigger than you even think you are, which it is, then other people are going to be attracted to that. And you'll find that you're going to have that unique position again that nobody else in the industry can have. So those three things: clarity, perseverance, and confidence. So what is your story? And I'd love to get some input at this point in time from people. Why did you decide to start your business? Anybody want to share? Why they decided to start the business that they're in?
Okay, I'll share.
Okay, everybody.
Laura Enzer, Wagomatic Canine Kiosk. I have the nation's first line of vending machines just for pet product. Couple of reasons why I started it, but I guess the one of the stories that I tell, there's two that are, I think, particularly compelling. Our main goal is happy, healthy pets, and having a convenience product that's right there at your condo where you live, or at the campground, or out at the domain of the retail space. We have some on the sidewalks where people walk by, the dog park. That's where we're located. But what really inspired it for me, I used to live in a condo, and I would leave work and drive my car home and put it in the garage, and I'd go to my unit and I'd open up the door, and my dogs would be so happy to see me, and then I would be like, oh crap, I forgot to get the dog food again. So then I had to cook them eggs or something like that, or I'd get back in my car, go back out to the suburbs, hit the Petco, get their food, come back home. And so I realized that instead of complaining about all of the condos that were ruining our skyline down in Austin, I just see money now, because the Austonian, which is the tallest one right now, has a full-on dog park on their 11th floor. Most of them are pet friendly, and I wanted them to, to not have to cook their dog eggs when they came home to downtown, because there's nothing really downtown for you to purchase pet food, toys, treats, food bags, wound care, all of those things. So we've been beta testing for about a year and a half, and have some kiosks down at the Catherine and Lamar Union and some other places. But that's one of the stories behind, my business. One of the reasons why I started.
Man, that's right.
What's your name? Right. What's your name?
Laura Enzer.
Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
Sure. Anybody else? Yeah.
Oh, I believe that nothing happens but first the vision. So for me personally, it's been a vision of leaving a country to grow up in for my kids and grandkids that's as good as or better than what I had the privilege of enjoying. So that's been a lifetime journey for me. And I'm just now to the point where I'm seeing some major progress begin to happen in that regard. And so for me, it's not necessarily a business, although that's going to be part of it, but just part of a bigger team of people that are all kind of working toward that same common goal. So it starts first with the vision. So what vision have you got for creating a better world than what we have currently? And then just follow that vision.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Hey, that's very awesome. So yeah, and what passion, skills, and vision came together to inspire you to act? You had to have some specific things. So just if you want to take a moment and just write some brief answers to those two questions, and then we'll carry on and get into the actual meat. And if any of you want a copy of this at the end, just give me your business card. So you don't have to copy. Okay, we'll carry on. So building your story framework. And we'll just take a few minutes on each one of these, but you can just get started on the thought process. And we'll do this step by step. We'll give you a few minutes for each one of these steps, and then we'll do a wrap up. So the first one is your compelling theme. What was your purpose of stepping into the arena of what you're doing?
May I ask a question? What was the second question on the previous slide?
What passions and skills and talents did you bring to the start of your business? Okay. Oops, I'm sorry. So, what was the problem that you saw that needed solving? The morning was, Laura? Laura. It was poor access. It was a food desert for dogs.
Food desert. That's great.
Right? So, I love that she got frustrated enough that she took action on that. What was the problem that you saw? You were well equipped.
I wanted people in the workplace to have more fun because I had been in a lot of workplaces that were not particularly fun. And so what I enjoyed doing was playing the ukulele. And it's very easy to teach other people quickly. So I now do workshops that teach people in the workplace how to work better together by playing the ukulele.
That's awesome. I know. I'm taking this. So your problem that you needed to solve was a lack of fun in the workplace, wanting to create a better workplace environment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. So, talk about your journey, your struggle to make that a reality, or to make it the level of success that you wanted to be, or need it to be. Some of us need to make a living at what we do. Actually, all of us would like to make a living at what we do.
Some just still struggling.
Some of you are still struggling.
Still struggling.
Yes. It is a journey.
A journey.
And that's part of it.
Part of it.
Part of it. It is always part of it. And then the fourth thing, did you have a breakthrough? And if you don't think you did, I'll bet you just go back and look and think about some highlights from the year. What was something good that happened? You know, the contact that you made, and somebody said, "Oh yeah, I want to use your services," or "I want to try your product," or you know, it was a breakthrough. It didn't have to be a huge breakthrough. Celebrate the little ones. But if you had a turning point in your business, you know, my first turning point was the creation of my product and my service. I've had lots of these, and you will have lots of these too. So. And then finally, your successful outcome. What happened? And if you haven't had one yet, project it. What's the outcome that you're believing in your heart that you will have and that you want to have? So this is a framework that you can use over and over again, and I want to encourage you. You've got your initial story, and that's your overriding theme, right? What compelled you to step into the arena that you're in right now. But as your business grows, you're going to grow. Maybe you're going to open up a new location, or you're going to take on a new product line, or develop another level of service over here, another stream of income. So that creates a whole nother opportunity for continuing to tell your story. It doesn't just stop with your initial story, okay? So this gets down to the nitty-gritty. And these are all things, many of these things are things you've probably thought of before, but I wanted you to think about it within the whole context of applying this story framework to it, okay? So I'm going to go through these. This is going to be lots of stuff on this page. So I encourage you to condense it into 20 to 30 seconds where you can succinctly tell your story. Kind of like I did at the beginning. Told my story about what is the essence of what I do. You can always expand it from there, but if you can condense it, that's wonderful. And we're so lucky because we have such great access to video. Oh, I'm sorry, post it on your website. And, you know, everybody has their About Us little tab on their thing. Get rid of that. Call it my story, our story, whatever. Because people want to read stories, right? They don't want to read about you. They don't want to read about me. But they want to know what your story is, because stories are interesting. So now that you have this framework and you're going to create a really cool story, put it up there, do your story. And then video. How many of you have a video where you're talking about your story, talking about why you went into business and what? 1, 2, 3, awesome. Everyone should have a video of them telling their story. So once you use this framework and you get your story together and make it as juicy and Hollywood as you possibly can. It can be toned down, but what we tend to do is make ourselves small, right? We go, oh, well, I know, but other people are doing it better. Other people have gotten in there before I did, and there's a million people doing what I do. You have a unique story, Rayanne. I know you have a unique story. I'm not even sure what it is, but I know it is because you juggle a lot in your life. So play it up. Make it big. Make it juicy. If you're really camera shy, then have somebody interview you. They can interview you. You don't even have to look at the camera. You can look up here to this person who's talking to you. Jeff does that all the time. Once a week, he interviews people and has them tell their story. So, but really do it. And the better you get, and telling it authentically without having a cheat sheet or cue cards, the easier it's going to be, and the more people are going to be attracted to you. All right? Feedback surveys. Does anybody do feedback surveys or reviews? Okay. So you can take your feedback survey and look at it and structure it around the framework of your story so that you can reinforce that story. You know, if you're, like for me, I can reinforce and find out, get feedback on how valuable was it for us to give you a tool to help you make it easier to tag things, to make decisions. How easy was it for you? How did it feel when you walked into your new apartment after walking out of your old home with all your stuff in it, and you walked into your new apartment and your bed was made and all your clothes were put away and every single box was gone and all the pictures were on the wall and you just started living? How did that make you feel? That reinforces the value that I want people to know, which is we do one-day move-ins, and they're amazing. So does that make sense, how to structure that? And then testimonials. Does anybody do video testimonials? They're hard to do sometimes, but they're worth the effort because nothing tells a story better than somebody speaking. And again, you can have them be interviewed. I've got a couple on my website and on my YouTube channel where some of my clients that I've moved are interviewing. And I've got my own story up there too. So, and then take that framework, because you don't want your business to be all about you. You really want it to be about your clients and about solving their problems, right? It's important that you have this story and that you tell this story and use it in your marketing. But it's really important that you use the framework to tell your client's story. The struggle that they went to, the problem that they had, that you were able to come in and solve, making them the hero of that story and you the guide. So use that framework to tell that and reinforce that back to your clients and reinforce it to the public. And it will really, I can't even, the words don't come to me right now, but it's going to make you stand out very uniquely. It's going to brand you as separate and better than and different than anybody who does anything like what you do. And then this is something, this takes the power of the storage in a little bit different direction, but this is Jack and I had the privilege of seeing Donald Miller at a conference last fall. I got his book, and he's a master. He is awesome. He used to do screenwriting, and he took the concepts of screenwriting and applied them to business, and he has a way to revolutionize and to tie in everything about using story to brand your business, from your website to all your marketing materials to the way you present yourself. This is an awesome book. I highly recommend it. It's a little bit different than kind of what I'm talking about here, but it takes that and carries it forward. So if you get a chance to get this, it says, clarify your message so your customers will listen.
Who's the author again?
Donald Miller.
Thank you.
Very easy read. So yeah, that will help you a lot. And then there's a couple of other articles and blogs that are out there. And again, if you want a copy of this presentation, I'm happy to send it to you. Just give me your business card and I'll email it to you. And really, that's basically it. This is what I do. And after putting this presentation together, I have inspired myself to take action and use this more consistently in my business, and I hope you do. And I know you all have wonderful stories. I hope that you will email me your framework. I would love to see it, because I know that there's some amazing stories out there, and I hope to help you tell yours. So thank you so much for coming. Things to share.
So who does your videos?
Different people.
I mean, if you put it all together and all the way that you said that.
Well, Hardy does some.
Purdy Brook does some things. I used a company called Motility. They have their own, and if you look at the video, I can send you the specific ones that they did. You can. There's a difference. There's a level of production quality that they do. And on my website, in the very front page, there's a testimonial by a lady who's got short blonde hair. That one was done by Motility. So you can click on that, you can see. They do some, Purdy does some. I just do some on my own.
I'll just mention, I think through the Small Business Festival, there is a class. It's either tomorrow or Friday, and I don't know where it is, if it's here or not, but I'm pretty sure there's a class on video. So
Awesome.
And
That's a great
one of the
idea.
things in our new Ignite program that we're launching here in the next few weeks, we're actually going to do a whole series on, so it'll be a program that you can go through to learn how to do YouTube, how to shoot video, and what you need to do it. I mean, it's not that much, you know, and even how do you shoot Facebook Live where it doesn't look crappy. You know, it doesn't look like you're standing there holding your phone, things like that. So there's ways to do it with some very simple techniques.
And I would say just
So keep your eye out for, just watch our Facebook.
Yeah, just start doing it. After this morning, I got on Facebook Live and just babbled about how excited I am to do this workshop and meet people and hope people come. And you know, I've started getting over that. Oh my God, that looks so horrible.
It doesn't have to be perfect.
No, it
I mean,
doesn't.
you know, my YouTube show, I do a YouTube show every Friday and shoot anywhere from 2 to 3 episodes a week. I never thought that I would get to the point where I just did my 75th show in the last year and a half. So, I mean, you have to do it.
Yeah.
John Lee Dumas, if you've ever heard him, his show Entrepreneur on Fire, he had something just recently, because he basically was doing a daily podcast every day interviewing entrepreneurs, and he said, you know, how did I do it? How was I successful? I got up every day for 2,000 days and did a podcast every day. So it's just habit. It's doing it and getting in front and just looking for opportunities to take a few seconds and pull your phone out and tell a story.
Yeah, we didn't have that years ago. We have that
Yeah.
now. Such easy access. So I look forward to hearing your stories.
Couple different questions. First of all, with the experience you went through with your mother, do you recommend that more mature adults do this program before they depart the fix so that their kids don't have to go through the same thing? And then the second one, when you came up with this program, did you build it totally on your own, or did you have examples? Is there anybody else doing this out there?
Okay. First question, I always say downsize early and often. So I've downsized several times.
So maybe the lifestyle then?
Yeah, and I'm not talking about minimalism. I'm not a minimalist. I think that you should be surrounded by all your favorite things as much as you possibly can. We work really hard to make sure that we understand what is truly most important to our clients and recreating a space.
But will your program make it easier for your heirs to deal with your departure when it comes to that point?
Yeah, I think it will. And it gets the family involved in making those decisions. I'm working with someone right now who, the dad doesn't care about anything. The daughter is like, oh no, I want it all. And so trying to, work through those family dynamics. But yeah, I think it's really important because I've heard a lot of seniors say, you know what, I'm just going to leave it all to my kids and they can figure it out. I'm like, wow, you don't like your kids very much, do you? Or stick it all in storage. Don't do that.
Yeah. Or my favorite one is, oh, my kids will never fight over this.
Yeah.
Yes, they will. They'll fight over some of the stupidest things
Oh,
you'll ever
my
think
Lord,
of.
yeah. So, and the second one, what was your second question?
Well, is there anybody else doing this?
Oh, yeah,
Or did
there
you
are.
develop this program totally on your
I
own?
developed this on my own. And I read a couple of books about organization and that kind of thing. And then took from them and created this guidebook and step by step. And I thought, well, if I'm doing this, what did I attempt to do and what would have made it easier, put it together. But I belong to the National Association of Senior Move Managers. Getting ready to join the National Association of Professional Organizers. I mean, there's all kinds of associations. There's other move managers here in the Austin area. I don't know that anybody's got a kit like I do, so I think that part is unique. And I do remote coaching all over the country, and I think that's unique. I don't know that anybody else is doing that right now.
What comes in the kit?
The kit has my workbook. It has silly things that people will procrastinate on doing it because they don't have them. All the dots, the sorting dots, the charts to help you understand how to make those decisions, markers, labels. There's a little apron that you carry all this stuff around so you're not going to be bogged down. So even if you're in a walker, you can do all that. There's a couple other things it has in it. So it's all there. So you're not having to go, oh, you know what, I'll get around to that because I don't have all.
As soon as I get to the store and I can get those labels, yeah.
Can't do it without a dot.
Yeah, that's right. So that's what it is.
It's very cool.
Yeah.
I don't have a question per se, but I just wanted to say that I love your logo and I love the way your marketing is done. It's just, I think it's something I've been noticing more and more because of all these sessions we've been attending. But I love that, that's great.
Thank you. I did not create it, so I think. Thank you.
But you approved it.
I
You
did.
accepted it, you paid for it, you inspired for it.
That's what it is. Okay. Thank you so much.
That's right. I know.
I'm here if anybody has any questions, or if you do know somebody who could use some help in downsizing, or who has parents that they're struggling with and they're not able to get them to move forward when they need to, and they're having, health issues, I'm happy to help or provide resources. So, and when I do several different topics I speak on, so I left this. So if you have any organizations that need a speaker, I like to have, about 20 people at least, but I'm available.
Thank you.